Hi, everyone. Welcome to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Today is going to be a really, really fun show, and I have my amazing guests, Leon, Jeremiah, and Frank. So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to an amazing show today that we're going to have. Before we get started, the first topic of the night is going to be about the Bucks and Nets. Bucks pull it out. But we have to do a little review about what happened last week. So let's do a rerun of what happened last week. Durant and the Nets right now. Series tied. Jeremiah, what's going to happen? Can Kevin Durant lead this Brooklyn team past the Milwaukee Bucks?
So you already know Kevin Durant, he is a go-getter. But to me, I don't think that he's just that guy to be a number one. I think that he's a go-getter to get you buckets. But in other versatility ways of him, I could say his defense is maybe a C to me. But he has to do a lot more when it comes to his factor for them to win and actually win this series.
Listen, he can facilitate all he wants. He can score all he wants. They ain't winning. It's that simple. Durant cannot do it on his own. He's going to need his two compadres with him. Without them, the Nets aren't going to win. Listen, support guys. Who's going to be ready? The Nets are not going to win another game. That's what I say. It ain't happening.
Frank, you think so? They won't win another game?
Ooh, listen. They call him the Slim Reaper for a reason, right? Like that brother puts in work. So I'm not ready to count him out like that. But I do understand where Leon's coming from. Like he's got a lot of work in front of him, right? For him to do it on his own, and you kind of saw what happened when Kyrie went down, how Milwaukee kind of changed their defense and they started blitzing him to force him to give it up, knowing that, hey, when he gives it up, it's going to be scoring's going to become difficult for them. So it's going to be hard, but I'm not going against that guy. I mean, listen, look at what he's doing, and he's doing it coming off of an Achilles injury. I mean, that brother, I'm not ready to do that. I'm going to say he's going to find a way to get another game.
Right now, to me, I have to go with Leon on this one. I don't think he might score 50, might score 60. He might pull a Kobe, score 81. I still do not think that they can get past Milwaukee. This is the first time we will see in 5 years, the past couple of years now, that Durant is finally by himself and he has to do what LeBron's been doing for the past couple of years. So we're going to see how Durant's going to be, and who is he, this guy that people are saying. We know he can score. We know he's offensively gifted. But can he carry a team? And guess what? To me, this Milwaukee team is better right now than what Brooklyn has right now without Kyrie and James Harden. So we'll definitely see. Now the question is,
at all. And I say the same thing with James Harden as well. James Harden, when he first came into this season right here, you already seen him, big belly, all out of shape and everything else. You know, strip clubs each and every time, you know, and those things catch up to you each time when it comes to those type of things. He was on a tear when he went to Brooklyn, you know, got some of his weight off and everything else. But those things do come back to attack you when you don't do good condition and everything else. With him coming back, I doubt it, because to be honest with you, everything will feel good once you're sitting down, you're doing certain treatments. But once you hit that floor, it'll start to hit you like out of nowhere. And that's what I'm worried about when it comes to their team right now. And for Kevin Durant, you know, he has to suck it up and he has to do it. Although I don't think they're going to win a game. But
well then, wow. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's start with Frank, because I know you were the Lone Ranger by yourself last week. What was your reaction to the Bucks beating the Nets in Game 7?
Well, you know, let me just say this for a second. I knew just from the mental makeup of that cat, he was not going to get blitzed without a win. I just did not see that happen. Now, I didn't see the performance that he put up. Like, and you called it. You said 50 and he got 49. So, you know, and it took that. And Jeremiah was right too, right? Like if James had stayed out of the strip club, he might not have had a busted hamstring, and they might have been able to get past him. Like, hey, James put in serious work too, though, right? So if they were healthy, I think they would have been all right. But if it's a whole bunch of things, but you know, I know this. I'm not counting KD out on anything, and I think you just saw why. I mean, that cat, he's the real deal. I know people get after him for leaving OKC and going to Golden State and then leaving Golden State, but that brother, he's bad. He's just a bad dude, and he showed you. You know, he had a little bit of help, he'd have been all right. I think the only thing he regrets is shooting an air ball at the end of the game. But he gave you everything. He gave you everything.
Leon, what did Durant prove to you in this whole series? What did he prove to you?
Here's what he proved to me. He made me a believer in Durant. When I look at him, he's so calm, and I don't see much intensity in him, but it's there, it's inside. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look strong, but I saw him do some things that require strength. The only thing is, you know, if he'd have cut down to a 15 and a half instead of a 16, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Much respect to him and to Frank for calling it. So he showed me a lot. Yeah. I'm a believer in Durant.
I knew Durant would probably go off. I just had a feeling. I knew that he was going to score that many points. Now, I thought he was going to score 50 or more, but he got 49. But he played exceptional. I will say that. I'm a LeBron James fan, a diehard LeBron James fan. So when I saw Durant, I was like, wow, this guy, he really did put Brooklyn on his shoulders. But to me, it mattered that game 7, as great as he was, he had to deliver, even though his shoe size was huge and it, you know, that cost them the game. But when you go into that overtime and you airball that, and, you know, you just have to, make that shot, you know what I'm saying? So, but I think more so I have to go at James Harden, because James Harden, I know he's playing on that hamstring. I know he was, you know, not 100%, but the fans, your game 7, we see you out there. We expect you to play at James Harden's level. So I felt that James Harden, he shied away from the moment, and he should have helped Durant actually in certain instances. He kept passing it to him instead of saying, you know what, they brought me here for a reason. Let me show these guys that I can get over my playoff woes, as he has throughout the past couple of years, and he didn't. So Jeremiah, what do you think? What goes on from here for the Brooklyn Nets? What goes on from here?
Goes on here from the Brooklyn Nets. To me, they need to tackle their whole bench right now. Joe Harris, he had wide open threes. He came up real short in these games, especially in game 7. To hit a 3 in overtime to put your team up by 3 with 40-something seconds left, I think you can't ask for an easier shot than that. For players as of Blake Griffin, of course, he had his little spark moments and everything, but he started fading after the first game, and then he would come in little short sprouts, but it just wouldn't be enough. And I feel like he's a dominant player only in short sparks. I felt like the Brooklyn Nets, they did not use DeAndre Jordan at all when they really could have, in my opinion. I feel like he's such a good asset that they could have used him. And also for Brown as well, I think they should keep him around. He's a great athlete and everything else, and I feel like he brings that intensity to their team and everything. But when it comes to this big 3 right here, everybody doesn't know how this season would have went if all 3 of them would have stayed on the court, because many say they can make it to a championship, many said they cannot. We don't know. But this next year, I just think that it'll be a little bit more difficult, but I believe they can maybe come back strong and everything else. The only problem I have is mostly with the consistency of James Harden. When it comes to the regular season, he's been a total baller. Like, you would see him putting up extraordinary numbers. Like, it's none like outside the box sheets and everything else. But when it came also just to these playoffs, I understand he had an injury and everything else. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes down to the time, especially in this game 7, shooting 5 for 17, although he had 22 points, it came from mostly the free throw line. And when it came to those last fourth quarters and everything else, he didn't want no parts of those big moments. And that's how come when it came to Kevin Durant, he was always gassed when it came to the fourth quarter in overtime. He was 0 for 4, and he didn't shoot no good shots because he's literally, it's only him out there. And he didn't have that contribute as it did in game 5 when it came to Green putting up the 29 points. And then when it came to game 6, he was non-existent. That's why I just think that they need to tackle their bench and kind of, improve it.
Agreed. Frank, do you think this is Giannis's year? Do you think that now that this Milwaukee team got past Brooklyn, do you think that Giannis could take this team and win a championship?
You really gonna ask me that? I'm still not sold. I'm still not sold on it. I'm still not sold on it. And I saw glimpses of what concerns me about him.
Right.
He's not money at the free throw line. He still wants to every blue moon shoot some threes. That's just not his bag. That's just not his bag. You think about, I think it was game 6. He just went right to the rim every single time, and he was punishing people. That's his game. He needs to go work on those other parts. That's not there yet. And I can't trust him in those moments. And if you think about the way they won, it was Middleton. It was Drew Holiday. It was not Giannis carrying him down the low. So I'm not ready to go there yet. I am excited to see what Atlanta's going to do with him. Like I'm curious. I'm curious to see that series. So I'm not. I'm going with Atlanta. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm going with Atlanta.
Predictions time. Okay. Leon, do you think Atlanta could go to the finals? What do you think? What's your predictions?
I'm going with Atlanta also. I'm going with Atlanta. Here's why. Like I agree with Frank. Giannis, I'm not sold on his complete game. You remember way back when Shaq was playing and they used to call it hack-a-Shaq? Just foul him and get him to the line. Atlanta has 2 options. Back off and make him shoot jumpers. He can't shoot. Or when he drives, beat him up. Send him to the line. Draw some blood or something. I'm not sold on Giannis. Atlanta's going to win this series.
Ooh, I have Atlanta and Suns in the finals. Jeremiah, do you agree or disagree?
Ooh, when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks and a Bucks, it's such a toss-up because the Hawks right now, they remind me of the Miami Heat that was last year inside the bubble.
Yeah.
Here, they don't really have no pressure on them. You're expecting them to lose because it's the Bucks, the Giannis, and everything else. I think when it comes to the Bucks, they have the most pressure out of this whole thing. Of course, you can look at the whole starting lineup. You have the Drew Holidays, Brook Lopez, Giannis, Chris Middleton, but at the same time, some of those times, they disappear at times. Chris Middleton, he can have those bad games where he goes on like a total like cold streak. Giannis, is he going to settle for 3-pointers most of the time? And for Brook Lopez, he stays on a 3-point line like he's waiting for a taxi out there. He don't even be in the inside, nowhere.
Yeah.
So I have Atlanta Hawks beating the odds and winning in 6.
Ooh, and 6. I'll say 6 also. I like 6. But that was a great conversation, guys. You are currently watching Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. You can tune in to me on Instagram at GameSpace_sports. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, GameSpace Sports Content, and then follow me on LinkedIn at Jasmine Pollock. The next topic of discussion is mental health in sports. And some guys overlook it, some people don't. I'm one of those who don't overlook it. How important, Jeremiah, is mental health in sports? When we look at Naomi Osaka, her withdrawing from these big tennis tournaments, and you looked at Ben Simmons last night and how that's taking a toll on him and how the internet was on him. How important is mental health in sports currently?
Without a question, it is the most important thing, I think, for a person mostly to have well in their life. Because first of all, when you're going to a sport, especially as an athlete of a professional, you're dealing with getting up in the morning, everyday practices. Then you got to worry about media after practices. Then you got to worry about trying to perform the way that they want you to perform on social media. If you don't, you get attacked by the media. You got to address the media, every single thing like that. And trying to have a sane mental through the whole thing, it could be really exhausting and tough at certain times. So I do understand Osaka when she did back out of the tennis tournament when it came to that whole thing. You know, as a certain athlete of myself, when I used to be playing sports back in high school and everything else, it is so important to have those times to yourself. Always important to just get away at times. Don't let things overcrowd you to let those things gather all the way through your heads, and just have positivity just around you, because there's more than life than just whatever is on the court or whatever you're doing in the sports. It's just all about how you feel within yourself and just keep improving yourself.
I agree. Leon, do you think that the sports analysts, the critics, play a role, in these athletes having these mental breakdowns and not being sure of themselves? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. The critics, the sports analysts, and everyone else, if you look at a person that's not an athlete, right? Let's take anyone from 22 to 25, and the pressures that folks in that age group have, or even those that are older. We all have things that we need to deal with. And so you take that athlete, again, using that example demographic of 22 to 25 years old, they're in this bubble, so to speak, of everyone knowing so much about them. There's a draw on their time. Everyone wants an interview. Everyone wants a picture. And when they miss a shot, make a bad pass, drop a ball, here's the media ripping on them about it. And then within hours after that, and sometimes even minutes later, they sit down in front of the press and have to answer questions about that. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard now for everybody, but particularly for an athlete of that age. It's very hard. Yes, the media plays a role in it. I believe so.
I agree. And even for me, heading into my career, I want to be able to change that narrative and not be, still be critical and still, judge the game and your game. But I think for me, I don't want to be that kind of analyst to kind of keep harping on someone, because you never know what they could be going through. And I do think athletes should be held to a certain regard, because they are human beings, even though they have a special talent and they're making a boatload of money, some of them. And it shouldn't matter about that. It shouldn't matter. Oh, they make millions. They're the number one on this chart. It shouldn't matter, because they're still humans, just like all of us. We all go through things. And I think that it's important that we take these people seriously, these men and women. They're putting their bodies on the line. They're putting their mental on the line. So I think it's very important that we take it seriously and understand these athletes and just really appreciate what they're doing right now. And for me, I'm standing 100% behind Osaka. I think what she's doing is, and she always seemed kind of antisocial and very, very shy. And I felt that, she always was depressed after a match or something like that. So I felt like for her to just take this step back and just, let me just cope and let me just find out truly who I am and then come back and be the best version of myself to give you guys the best version of myself. So I'm really standing behind her. But Frank, do you think for Ben Simmons, being that what we saw his collapses this past few years, do you think he will be able to overcome? Do you think that he'll still be the same, or he can overcome this if he stays with the 76ers or he goes to a different team? What do you think about that?
Well, I never doubt an athlete. I mean, at the end of the day, Ben Simmons is one of 450 NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a bunch of kids right now that aspire to be one of 450, and he can say he is that, right? And he can say that he was the number one pick in doing so. So I wouldn't count out somebody who's got that in their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have a great series. He admits that, and I think this will be fuel for him this summer to say, hey, let me go evaluate how I work and see if there's not a different way to work. Because again, his path already has gotten him in the league. Now he's got a part of his game that's been exposed. It's been exposed in some very bright light. And so now he's got to figure out what he's going to do with it, but I'm not going to count against him. I do believe at some point the 76ers are going to probably move away from him. And I think there will be suitors for him. I can't remember, somebody said it today on one of the talk shows, it's going to be hard for him to go back into that locker room. When you're giving up the ball right under the rim because you're for whatever reason. And to me, those would be the questions. Like, what were you thinking? Educate me on how you saw the game, right? Because for the life of me, I don't know. I'm a cat that used to like to score, so if I get that close, I'm putting it in the hole. But he saw something different at that moment, so I'd like to understand that, right? But for him individually, yeah, I think he's going to get in the gym this summer, put in some work, some honest work, some different work, come back a better player. But he'll probably be with a different team.
I agree. Leon, do you think he's going to be with it? What team could fit for Ben Simmons? Is there any teams that you could see him going to that he could elevate his game?
There's two considerations with that. One, he needs to go somewhere where he feels and the team feels and is selling him on the idea that we need you, Ben. You're just not coming here for a change, but you're the guy that can get us to where we want to go, to where we need to be. You are the guy. And the second point is a lot of the mental blocks that a lot of athletes have, coaching can change it. And it's not always the head coach. It's that player development coach that instills confidence in that player. Maybe it's somewhere that has a former high school coach, a former college assistant coach on their staff that's in player development that can work one-on-one with Ben to get that confidence up so that if it's the fourth quarter and Ben's concept of offense goes from under the basket, not shooting, to if I'm in the gym, I'm in range. He needs to really have that type of confidence. So where does he go? Well, he's been with the Sixers as they've been rebuilding and all that. I don't know. How about the Washington Wizards? And they run a 3-guard offense. What do you think?
I like that idea. I actually like that because initially my idea was him going to maybe somewhere where he could be like that fourth option. Maybe a place where there's already prolific superstars. Even it's ironic that I'm saying this, but somewhere like Brooklyn, because you have Durant, you have Harden. I don't want to see a super team, but something like that. Maybe like Golden State, like when Klay comes back, he could be there somewhere like that where he can facilitate and do different things like that, or even come off the bench. Maybe I think that just to start, not saying I don't think he deserves to come off the bench, but just by him playing in this series, it just was like, I don't know, man. We've seen enough. I don't think before, like even before, 76ers were not that good to me overall. and I felt that him and Embiid just didn't fit each other enough for me. I think Ben should go somewhere where there's veteran guys and there's prolific superstars, and he could be that fourth option to learn and understand. I don't think he's had that or has that. I think that's where the problem lies. What do you think about that, Jeremiah?
Oh, when it comes to Ben Simmons, I feel like within him, he needs to find his inspiration. This guy right here, Ben Simmons, he is a great talent. I cannot get over that. Of course, he had himself a terrible last couple of years when it comes to his playoffs and just how it came to be. But when he first came into this league, people can't forget he was the rookie of the year, big candidate. He was on top of good numbers, and he was, being compared to the next LeBron, only if he can improve his shot when it came to those aspects, because he has a great IQ, great defense, great passing. It's just when it came to this series right here, it wasn't mostly on him just not scoring. It was just him being scared to try to score. And that was just a whole big issue. I just feel like, just as Leon said, I feel like he needs to find him a right coach, a right thing of an inspiration to just push him more. You see the great things that Devin Booker is doing in the Suns right now, having with a great coach and just having that drive of like a CP3 next to him to encourage him type thing that's like that. Of course, Joel Embiid, he is a great guy, but Ben Simmons needs that bigger leader that can kind of put him under his wing and just be like, use me as your inspiration and just keep pushing.
I agree with that. I think he needs to have his like Miami Heat moment in a way, how LeBron, from Cleveland and him going to, I think he needs to have that Ben Simmons. But you guys are currently watching Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Again, if you want to follow me on Instagram, please follow me at GameSpace_sports. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's GameSpace Content. And if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, it's just Jasmine Pollock, to stay tuned. So the next topic, you guys, this conference is not at all the best conference at all, but we're going to talk about it. The NFC East. Leon, who is it going to be a disaster? Is it going to be a blessing? What is the NFC East going to look like this year?
I did a little research, and I came up with 5 out of the last 9 seasons. That conference has been a disaster.
Yeah.
Losing records, winning first place and all of that. And Jerry's World on television every week playing 500 football. Philadelphia doesn't know what they're going to do with a quarterback. The Giants don't know who's going to coach them, right? The Redskins, they somehow made the playoff last year it's going to be a disaster. When is it not a disaster? It's going to be bad. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. That's what I say.
Frank, do you think the NFC East is going to be bad? What do you think?
I can't really speak on it. I really can't. But I will say this. It's going to be the uglier and ugliest, and Washington's going to win it.
Oh, okay.
I will say that. Like, it's not going to be pretty football. Dallas, I don't trust Dallas for anything. I just don't trust them. New York's going to find a way to just get in their own way. And I've never been able to figure out Philly. But what Washington showed me last year is they got a decent defense, and they spent some time this offseason trying to put stuff around their offense. I got a feeling they're going to find a way to win that division, but it's not going to be anything anybody wants to watch. Nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I just think I'm leaning towards it's either between, to me, because by default, my mom is a Giants fan, so I'm leaning with Giants and Redskins. I can't stand Dallas. I think Dallas is my least favorite NFL team. So they talk too much. They're talking currently, and I just don't think the NFC East is going to be good. They have been terrible literally terrible for the past couple of years. And it's just, I think Ezekiel Elliott for Dallas, he's in a slump, and I don't think he's going to get out of that slump. I do not. Quote me on that. But I don't think Dallas is going to be that good. I don't think the Eagles, they have to figure out what they want to do offensively and defensively. That team is just, they have a lot of great pieces, but it's just that team. I don't even know who's coaching that team, honestly. It's just going to be the same. What do you think, Jeremiah?
For these 4 teams, seeing them trying to win a championship is like watching paint dry. I don't see that thing happening with none of them, because let's just start off when it comes to the Cowboys. And first of all, from the 4 teams in this NFC East, their fans will talk like they have won the championships for the last 20 years, every single year. But they have yet, like, they barely be making the playoffs each time. When it comes to the Eagles, like Leon said, struggling to do with the quarterback. I know they have Jalen, but you just don't know where they're heading and everything else like that. Recently, before they had themselves a new coach and everything else like that. So I just don't know the direction they're going. When it comes to the Washington, I like the way that they're heading. They just had Chase Young just last year, and they picked up Mini. They just got Fitzpatrick and everything else. But can you really trust that going down the road with each team getting better and everything like that? When it comes to the Cowboys, I know you signed Dak to the huge big contract and everything. You got Zeke coming back, as Jasmine said. I don't see him really living up how he did when he came out his first year. When it came to Zeke, he was just such dominant. But after he got that money, he just became so lax and had no type of thing to drive him. And Jerry Jones has just been driving the team just as a big show. He wants to be the face of the whole thing, to have his face on the camera more than having his team on the field at certain points. I mean, I just don't understand when it comes to certain things like that. And for New York Giants, I believe this year is going to be the pressure year for Daniel Jones. If he doesn't do well this year, I feel like it's going to be curtains for them, and they just going to start from scratch when it comes to them going for another quarterback.
And the Giants did pick up a lot of offensive weapons. They, in the draft, first round, they got my guy Kadarius Toney from the Gators. They got Galladay from the Detroit Lions. I'm telling you, they have an offense, and Saquon Barkley's coming back. It's just questions: can Daniel Jones deliver? And they have a decent defense. They didn't have a bad defense last year. It's just, can Daniel Jones deliver and not trip up at the 1 yard line or something like that, how he did in that one game? It's just, what is Daniel Jones going to be? What is he going to be? Can he deliver? Can he throw the ball? Can he not turn the ball over? That's just going to be the biggest question mark. So I think we're all leaning towards the Washington. Frank, do you think they could be a threat to the NFC at all?
Washington?
Washington.
Be a threat for what? No. They'll win their division. They'll win their division, but no, they're not going anywhere beyond that. No, I can't even entertain that. No. I'm not ready to rule out New Orleans. I'm not ready to rule out Green Bay. I'm not. No. I cannot hear Washington beyond. They will win their division. They'll win it because of their defense. They won't win it by much because of Fitzpatrick. I mean, listen. I'm a full disclosure. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I know what I say when I say him. Like, I love the games when he's Fitz awesome magic, and then the games that he's Fitz tragic. He'll put you in AA. Like, he's just, he's all over the place. But their defense is really, really good. And they've put some pieces around, and he's got enough of his own awareness now to try to get away from his Fitz tragic habits. So they'll win that division, but I don't see them going anywhere beyond that. I just don't.
Can they go above and beyond, Leon?
No.
I'm hands-free, Leon. No.
No. Ain't gonna happen. Put me on tape right now. We'll play it back at the end of the football season. If Washington wins their division, that's it. Party over. If they win the division, don't look for them to do anything. Ain't happening. Don't see it.
Hold on, Leon. Hold on, Leon. You say if. So if not Washington, who's winning that division?
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. I'll go with Washington just out of default because there is nobody else.
I mean, listen, I personally like Jalen Hurts. I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts to do something, right? But I don't see Philly doing anything.
Well,
right? I want Saquon Barkley to have a good, healthy year coming off of his injury. To Jasmine's point, they put some pieces around, but I ain't trusting New York. In Dallas, that's just automatically saying don't trust.
Don't trust them. But look at Philly. If Jalen gets hurt, who's their quarterback?
Exactly.
Flacco.
Exactly. He could turn back the hands of time, you guys.
That's a hard turn.
But even for Dallas too, they're probably going to go 3-0. Woo, go Dallas. And then
they'll put up a good offense, but defense, where's the defense going to be at?
Hold on, I gotta correct Jeremiah on something. All right. Oh. Jeremiah said that once Ezekiel got that money, he stopped running. All right. What happened really is they didn't put anything in front of him from an offensive line. That line is atrocious. Now he's a beast, but if you catching the ball 3 yards in the backfield and you got to go 2 yards backwards to try to get back 5 yards, you're not going.
That's actually a good point.
That's really where their issues are. Their offensive line.
That's a good point because when it comes to Andy Dalton, when it came to even the quarterback, he was getting a bunch of sacks this year. When it came to this last season that just passed, the pass rush every single time inside each time.
I still don't understand how Dallas hired Mike McCarthy. I mean, I'm a Packers fan. I'm a Packers fan. I know what this man is about. Okay.
I can't go there, but he didn't do himself any favors, Jasmine. He did not do himself any favors last year. He looked like he hadn't been coaching at all in the NFL.
That's the thing. But I think that's where Dallas is right now. Jerry Jones doesn't want to get a coach that can challenge him. He does not want this is my Dallas Cowboys, the Super Bowl, no, you're not going to the Super Bowl. It's not happening. You haven't been in 20 plus years, so you're not going back. I promise.
Okay. I hear you. I'm calling it now. I'm with you. But my mind is going to what's going on with Aaron Rodgers?
Woo!
What's happening? More importantly, what's going on with Love? Is there any love in Green Bay?
They're not ready for Love.
Not ready. He's not ready for Love. Listen, hold on. I think for my Packers right now, I did a video on this. Where I'm at with my Packers, I will love my team through bad, good, evil, ugly, whatever. I love them. But to me, Aaron is so talented. He's one of the best to do it. And we drafted Jordan Love, and that has nothing to do with him specifically. But how do you draft with all the receivers that came out that year? You draft a quarterback the first round. You trade up. And I'm still upset about that. I'm still leaving a sour taste in my mouth. And then Aaron's sitting out. Now, for me, I still don't know what's going on. There's so many different reports happening at one point. To me, I do think Aaron will come back. He did just re-sign a deal in Green Bay with the golf club. So hopefully, I do think he is coming back. But I don't think Jordan Love is ready. I think that our front office messed up with this one. If Aaron is still playing at a high level, you can have a backup, just like what Tampa Bay just did. Tampa Bay drafted my guy Trask. So we drafted Jordan Love, and Jordan Love is not better than Kyle Trask. So when Kyle Trask got drafted by the Bucs, he can sit out for 2 years and be behind Tom Brady, and he's going to be able to fit in that role. But I just don't think Jordan Love, I don't know what we were looking at. I don't know if we were wanting to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. We had 2 chances, and I'm a little anxious. I'm a little frustrated. I do think Aaron is coming back, though.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Jasmine. I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I don't think he's coming back. Okay, I think this is all personal now. I think it's gotten beyond business and it's personal. And I'm just sitting here going, Aaron will find a way to either sit out or get himself traded out. He does not want to play for them. I think his only crossroad is the guys in the locker room. Like, I don't think he wants to leave those guys out to dry, but I think he's like, I can't come back and work for those folks. And I think if the organization just would have been open and honest with him on what they were doing, they wouldn't have been in this situation at all.
Right.
But they weren't, and then they kept stepping in it all the way through. So now he's like, I can't trust you guys. And if you can't trust, you can't play.
I agree.
So
I think if Aaron does leave, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't, because I think his talent, what he's done for this organization, I can't get mad at him for wanting to leave. I was telling Jeremiah before if he goes to the Dolphins, because I do like the Dolphins also. I don't know what you guys think about that, Dolphins fans.
I love him. I love him. But no, I love it. I'd be happy. I'd be real happy.
I love this conversation. I love this conversation, you guys. I thought it was a great conversation tonight. Thank you guys for joining me, Leon, Frank, Jeremiah. It's always been a pleasure. It was fun last week, so I'm glad you guys came back with me tonight. Also, thank you, Dr. J, for producing everything. I want to thank the audience also for tuning in, and we'll definitely see you guys next week here on Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk.